Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Optimizing Water Use Through Xeriscaping in North America, a region-by-region approach, presented by Kimberly Dickey. Here you'll see the slide that will give you all of the information that you need to self-report your hours on gbci.org. The course title submitted with GBCI is Optimizing Water Use Through Xeriscaping in North America, a region-by-region approach, presented by the Green Building Research Institute. The approval date is June 19th, 2013, and the course ID is also shown at the bottom of the slide. This course has been pre-approved for 2 CE hours and is also lead specific for BD&C, ID&C, and O&M. The category for this course is Water Management. Now I would like to introduce today's presenter. Kimberly Dickey is the owner and principal designer of KD Acoustical by Design and is currently the president of Iowa Renewable Energy Association, iRenew. Kimberly's applied solutions to contemporary sustainability challenges are informed by the concepts and methods of her anthropological training. Kimberly seeks solutions to contemporary sustainability challenges, enhancing her skill set through the study of sustainable site design, land use planning principles, and applying her business acumen to assist others in their sustainability goals. At GBRI, Kimberly teaches courses on building commissioning, xeriscaping, and renewable energy for green buildings. Here is Kimberly.
Well, by definition, xeriscaping is an environmental design of residential, commercial, and public land using methods that minimize the need for supplemental irrigation and water use. And so by definition, it is something that can be applied very, very locally or microscopically, such as your own backyard or a client's backyard, to large-scale development footprints. So even the very basic principles can be broadened in scope, essentially. Alternatively, in readings, reference guides, it can be referred to as drought-tolerant landscaping or smart-scaping. So xeriscaping has multiple terminology, and so when you see these other terms, now that you will have learned more about xeriscaping, you can lean back on your knowledge of xeriscaping when you see these terms popping up in literature. The emphasis of use on plants whose natural requirements are appropriate to the local climate is essentially what xeriscaping is all about. It's the crux. And in contrast to natural landscaping, which is beautiful and wonderful, solution-based in and of itself, xeriscaping places emphasis on plant selection and soil building for water conservation, not simply native plant selection. So bioengineering soils, if you will, and then selecting the correct plant species with those soils for your region. It also, by definition, avoids water loss due to evaporation and runoff. Urbanization, another big impact on the availability or water scarcity. 40% of Earth's population lives in towns and cities. 60% is predicted by 2030. This increase is largely due to readily available services in urban areas. We're naturally migrating to where these services are available simply by just paying your water bill and turning on the tap. Outside of that, it's a lot more difficult to ensure that those sort of services are just there and available, and we don't have to worry about it. You have to work for it, essentially. With growing population brings growth in demand for development, expanded infrastructure, landfill, paved environments, buildings, housing, urban development. So population's growing, development footprints are growing, and then, of course, we have to feed all of these people and feed the animals that feed all of these people and the byproducts that they produce. So agriculture has its own significant, extensive, incredible agricultural impact, relies heavily on irrigation. Pesticides, herbicides, irrigation overdrafting in and of itself is a huge draw on available water resources. The impacts of agriculture include aquifer depletion, decreased yields when water scarcity is becoming more and more of a problem, prices for food increase, and where food is unavailable because water is not there, it's scarce, we have huge impacts of hunger on populations. One of the primary research bodies that agricultural research in dry areas is a central focus of their work is the International Center for Agricultural Research in the Dry Areas, or ICARDA. Again, I would love to take you to their website and just kind of show you around some of the work that they're doing, but I'll just leave you with that as a opportunity to Google and look into what ICARDA is doing to measure and manage water scarcity in agriculture. Industrial impacts, just a few knowledge nuggets for you. It's an enormous call on water supply. Just the 6 most impactful industrial industries are fracking, refining, petroleum production, primary metals, wood, paper, and chemical production. These industries have the greatest call on water supplies. The processes that are involved in each of these industries range from fabrication, processing, washing, diluting, cooling, transporting, blending, and sanitation. So you think of all these things as important things in order to have a delivered product that is reliable and useful in our lives. All of these materials, even if just sitting here at your desk watching this webinar, you can see where any of these materials are right at your fingertips. But the footprint to get those products from their raw material extraction point to processing and on the shelf and in your home or in your office include all of these processes: fabricating, cooling, transporting, blending, sanitation, and water was involved every step of the way. The map to the right is interesting in and of itself. We could talk a long time about it, but essentially what I just want to point out, and it's dated, it's a 2005 map, but essentially what it does is it explains the water withdrawals in millions of gallons per day, where you can see the darkest blue states, Texas, Louisiana, Indiana, as the greatest industrial water withdrawals, 1,500 to 3,200 million gallons per day of water withdrawal. But I mean, no state is immune to this demand for water. But we know a lot of these industrial processes that are going on: fracking, refining petroleum, primary metals, wood processing, paper, chemicals. Depending on where you're at, you know what's happening industrially in the corridors that line our cities and towns. You know that these are where these enormous calls for water are happening.